When we leave this world, not many people will remember us. People will forget who we are, but the impact that we leave in this world, I think that's really important. Money that we have today is not really our money. It's given to us from God. And I believe that we're going to be held accountable. That I gave you this money, I gave you this wealth, I gave you this power. What did you do with it?
Today's guest is Sunny Araf, a self-made entrepreneur building an 8-figure business.
Tough times create tough men. Good times create weak men. Rather than focusing on the grass being greener on the other side, start watering your own grass and then see how green it becomes. If you've got a problem, do something to try and fix it.
Sunny, you have lost 2 children. How did you survive that?
My faith got me through it. You know, when you lose a loved one, it's not the end of the story. God has promised that you will meet them in heaven.
Sunny, for those who don't know you beyond the headlines, who are you?
I'm Sunny Araf. First of all, I am a father. I'm an entrepreneur, of course, a son and a brother, and a good friend. So I'm lots of things. It depends on what day you get me. But mainly, I'm just someone that's trying to leave a legacy and make a difference in the world. And I'm a slave of Allah. I'm a slave of God. So that's who I am.
What do you mean by legacy when you say legacy?
Legacy has different meanings for people, but I think impact is probably the better word. The reality is that when we leave this world, not many people will remember us. People will probably be upset for a couple of days or weeks and months, and then the years will go on, and then we'll just become a distant memory. You know, only our close and loved ones will maybe remember us. But like I ask you, you know, can you remember your great-great-granddad's name? You know, I can't remember, but I don't know who my great-great-granddad was. So people will forget who we are, but the impact that we leave in this world, the things that we do that will benefit others once we're gone, you know, I think that's really important. And I think we're really fortunate in this day and age where we've got like YouTube and, you know, like you can make a video on YouTube and it will be there for like in 10 years or 20 years or whatever, or possibly for hundreds of years. I mean, who knows, right? So really just the impact that I have on people. So, you know, I just want people to remember me as being, you know, a nice guy that did good, you know.
Yeah, I saw this on your picture the other day on Instagram.
Yeah, I love that. But yeah, we were walking past and we saw the sign. I said, look, we need to have a picture taken. It's a restaurant at the expo. They had a sign there. I had to just stand there and have a picture taken. So.
But where did you develop this attitude that, you know, I want to leave an impact and I want to leave a legacy?
In my kind of 42 years of being on this earth, I've been through so many different things. I've experienced things that, you know, I would never wish on my worst enemy. And everyone can have money. You know, and success means different things for different people. But I think for me, the important thing is that I just want to be a go-getter. You know, there's so many people in the world that sit there and kind of like complain about their situation, complain about the world. And I always say, if you've got a problem and, you know, do something to try and fix it, right? Don't just sit there and complain about it. Get up, get off your ass and go and do something about it. So, and I think I've just got that naturally from my pet. Look, we're Desis, right? So we're really fortunate that we have that. We're immigrants, right? We're like second generation immigrants to England. And we're really fortunate that when our parents came to the country, they'd had nothing. They had to work really hard to build something. So I think as a child of an immigrant, we have this natural like gene, right? And we need to capitalize on that. So we have this go-get attitude. And it's for us as a second generation of immigrants to say, we're going to go out there and make something better. We're going to build upon the foundations that our parents and others left for us.
There's a recent study found that 70% of self-made millionaires come from working class backgrounds. But only a fraction use their wealth for philanthropy.
Yeah.
Sunny, you are in that rare group. Why?
So a couple of things. First of all, my religion teaches me that I have to give back. In Islam, we're told that, you know, charity is a major, it's a pillar of Islam. It's really important. So that's the first thing. Secondly, I got that from my parents. You know, my mum was always one of those women, and she, you know, she's still alive. So, you know, God bless her. She's one of those women that has always put others first, always helping somebody back home in Pakistan, right? There's a family that, you know, their daughter's getting married, so they need money, or, you know, somebody needs a new toilet built in their house, or like small things. And so as growing up, we always saw that selfless acts from my mom, that attitude of helping others. You have like a deal with God, right? That the more you give, the more you get back. And God's made this promise to us that if you won't get poor from giving in charity. Give as much as you want, like to your heart's content. Like, do you know any philanthropic person that's broke? No, right?
No.
You'll never see a philanthropy guy broke. They're always very well off, and they're always very happy and content, right? So what's the difference between the guy that's happy and content and has money, and the guy that has money but is actually very miserable? Because he hoards that wealth. He wants to hold on to it, and he feels that the happiness in life will be achieved by things, materialistic objects, the car, the money, and that's all good things. I encourage it.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's great. It's great. Driving a nice car, wearing a good watch, a nice watch gives you like a pump, right?
Yeah.
I wear this watch. I worked hard for it, so so there's nothing wrong with materialistic things. Don't anyone ever tell you that having a nice car or aiming to have a big house or whatever. Big house, I don't know, maybe it's big house, big problems.
You have to take care of it.
You have to take care of it, right? My mom always says in Punjabi, she says, Barakah banane aasan hai, samalne mushkil hai. So like making a big house is easy, but maintaining that is always a problem. So my point is that you see the other guy he's not content, he's not happy, there's something missing in his life. And there's just such a good feeling of giving. Like when you see the happiness on someone else's face, it's amazing.
I see that a lot nowadays in humans, that they want to hold on to everything, the power.
Like one of my fears is poverty, right? I saw it when I was younger. We come from a middle class kind of working class family. I wasn't born into wealth. I saw that. I saw the problems that not having money caused for my parents. The fights, the issues that we had in the house. That kind of left some kind of trauma in me to say that I don't ever want to be in that position. So one of my fears really is poverty, and that kind of makes you more determined not to be in that position. And I think with a lot of people, that's the fear. But then it's understanding that money that we have today is not really our money. It's given to us from God. With that is a responsibility of what we do with it. And I believe that we're going to be held accountable. That I gave you this money, I gave you this wealth, I gave you this power. What did you do with it? Did you just use it just for your own benefit? And again, spending money on oneself and family is not a problem. But did you then also help others? And that helping others starts from home. It starts from your family, your immediate family. Like, is there anyone in your family that needs help? And then it's your neighborhood, your neighbors. And then it's your community. And then it's a bit further afield into like the country that you live in. And then we look at, abroad and going like international. And people forget that. So you need to focus on your own first and then maybe try and help others after.
This just reminds me of my home situation.
Okay.
Because there's a funny story. My dad, he is always running away from home chores, not doing any work at home. But if anyone comes to him for help,
he's there.
He's always there. He's always there. And I always hear my mom complaining like, you didn't do this, you didn't do that.
Yeah.
But he's busy doing it for somebody else.
And if you look at like a builder, a builder that spends his life building other people's homes, fixing other people's homes, right? When you actually look at his own house, there's always going to be something that's broken that he hasn't fixed. So that's always the kind of case, right? That like, because you do it for others, sometimes you forget to do it for yourself.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to take care of yourself too.
So your dad was a grafter.
Oh yeah, he still is.
But you have said you wanted more than just survival. What did you see in him that shaped you?
My dad's amazing. I love my father, right? But he's a very simple man. And I saw that other people would mistreat him because he didn't have the money. So if he was in a room with people, he was maybe the not so well-off guy, and people would treat him differently because he didn't have the money. And that didn't sit well with me. So I said to myself from a very early stage that I'm not going to be the guy that gets mistreated because of my position. And some people may say that just having money doesn't get you respect. And I get that. You know, there is people that have a high standing in society that don't have a lot of, like the headmaster of the community, right? Everybody respects him, you know, the imam of the masjid or the pandit or whoever, everybody respects it. They may not have a lot of money, but everybody respects it. And I get that. But just from me, from my personal trauma from being young, I saw that. So dad was a grafter, and he still is at this age, but he just didn't have that entrepreneurial, how to put it all together. He knew that every day he goes out, he's going to graft. So he worked very hard to put food on the table for us. And I can never repay him for that. But he just didn't know how to connect the dots. And that was the problem. And he was always living like every day as it comes. There was no like future planning. You know, it was just like, my dad's very simple. You earn money today, you have money to eat today. Tomorrow's another day. You know, we'll see. Kal dekha jayega, you know? And that didn't sit right with me because you don't know what tomorrow holds. And I just needed a bit more stability and security. And that's what I was aiming for.
So how did you learn to connect the dots then?
I taught myself. So one of my first jobs was sales, right? And it was on the phone.
What kind
selling.
of sales?
So we were selling electricity to people. And if anybody that's done outbound calling in a call center, it's very hard because you phone 100 people and 99 people will tell you to piss off.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
Even if I get any call like that, 100%. I'll be like, I'm busy.
Yeah,
right
I'm
now.
busy. And I don't take the calls neither. Sorry, no, right. So it's the hardest job in the world, right? So that was my first job when I left school. And then the second job that I got was sales, but knocking on doors, which is even harder.
Yeah.
So in a foreign neighborhood, you don't know the area, you don't know the people. Now imagine in the evening, you're knocking on somebody's door when they're just about to eat. They're just about to sit down and watch a film or watch TV. And then some guy, random Pakistani dude, knocks on the door saying, hi, can I sell you? You know, people are like, but these jobs that I did taught me so much in terms of resilience and patience and never giving up. You know, if you can do door-to-door sales and you can do telesales on the phone, honestly, it sets you up for life because you will learn the skills. And then I started, you know, reading a lot of books and kind of watching kind of YouTube videos and whatever. And just my life experiences in general just taught me, I think the mistake that I probably made is I didn't have a coach or an executive coach. And it's funny because I'm now one of them, you know, so I teach people, but I didn't have that in the past. So I think maybe if I had, I would have learnt a lot quicker. So how did I connect the dots? Life kind of just taught me. I didn't have a choice. I was thrown in at the deep end and I had to go out and earn money. I didn't go to university. I couldn't afford to go university. I decided to stay home and start working and helping mum and dad. And that taught me some very valuable lessons. And it was a great thing that I didn't go because I would have probably been working for somebody else.
That was going to be my next question. Like, was that a sacrifice or a blessing in disguise?
Both. So at the time it was a sacrifice because I wanted to go to university. It was my dream. All my friends were going off to, you know, living the student life. And I really wanted that. And but you know, it's crazy because I didn't go to university, right? But now I own the blocks, the student blocks where students are living.
Oh, wow.
You know, I go to university to lecture students on business. Wow. I get invited from universities to, you know, like openings of like their business school. I'm the speaker there, you know.
Wow.
So life's gone kind of 360. It wasn't, so it was a sacrifice at the time, but now it's a blessing.
But God was showing you that, you know, you're meant to be here.
Like I'm blessed. I truly have a blessed life. I'm so grateful that the experiences that I went through taught me and made me the man I am today. You know, and I only wish that for my children. But my worry for my kids is that, and you must have seen this in your time as a professional training coach, right? A tennis coach, right? If you come across certain children, they become entitled, you know? Yeah. And I don't want that for my kids because tough times create tough men.
That's right.
You've heard the saying,
That's
right?
right.
And good times create weak men. I have 3 boys and a daughter, and I don't want them to be weak men or, you know, a woman for my daughter. I want them to be strong, but they're not seeing tough times.
Yeah.
As a parent, we have to, me and my wife, we have to navigate how do we give them everything because we never had it when we were younger.
That's right.
but at the same time, make sure that they're not entitled and they don't, believe that this world owes them something. So it's a difficult balance, and I'm sure like many parents listening will understand this.
Yeah.
And there is no rule book. When you're a parent, there's no textbook. When your baby's born, they don't give you this manual to say,
Yeah.
okay, here, at this age, you have to do X, Y, and Z. You have to learn.
Yeah.
And our parenting style is completely different to that of our parents,
That's right.
and it can't be the same because generations change,
That's
times
right.
change. So you cannot use the same style of parenting that your parents used with your kids, because that was a different era. People were different, society was different, and the issues that we have now, we never had then. Social media being one of the biggest ones.
That's right.
So, yeah.
But I think you're doing a great job, man. I was going through your account and how you're putting Abdullah
Through his
to
paces,
boxing
Yeah.
classes.
Abdullah, I need to get back to the UK because he's slipping. I've just been speaking to my wife, and he's getting a bit lazy because his dad or his coach isn't there, and but he's okay. He's come a long way,
Yeah.
and that. So yeah, I'm super excited about seeing his transformational journey.
Yeah. It's gonna be amazing. For
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. Abdullah's going to be the next, Gymshark athlete, maybe.
For sure. For sure.
Inshallah.
So, for anyone listening who feels trapped by family expectations or financial pressure, what's your advice for making those hard choices?
Just because it's always been done a certain way doesn't mean to say that you have to do it that way. And what I mean by that is that don't be afraid to make that change and make that jump. So if you come from a family of doctors, for example, or lawyers or accountants, because they're the three in England, they're the three main, people from South Asia,
Yeah.
they're the main professions, right? You must
That's
become a doctor, you must become a lawyer, you must become an accountant. These are the three main professions, right? And like, don't feel pressurized to do that, if that's not, and even for parents too, like, don't force your children into something that they're not happy with, because if their heart's not in it, they won't do it.
Yeah.
But my advice really would be is that just because times are hard today, they don't always,
Gonna
they're not-
remain same.
yeah, they're not always going to remain the same. Like you have to focus on the end goal. Everybody wants to eat, but nobody wants to hunt,
Yeah. That's right.
So if you want the feast at the end of the trip or at the end of the day, then you have to put the hard work in. And if you're willing to hunt, then no doubt you'll get the feast, right?
Yeah.
And you may not always get the feast. A hunter can go out and maybe not come back with nothing, right?
Yeah.
But consistency and constantly focusing on your goals and reminding yourself, what is your why? For me, my why is my kids and my family. That's my why. That's why I get out of bed every morning. That's why I come to work. That's why I'm in Dubai now doing what I'm doing, because it's for them so we can have a great life. And I think if you have your why and you focus on that why, then when times are bad, when that deal never went through, when you get fired from work, when you're tired and when things just go the wrong way, always remember why you're doing it. And if you focus on your why, it's an instant uplift. On my desk, I have photos of my family, So when I get a shitty email from a client or I get news that we've lost a contract or we've lost money or, whatever, I look at the pictures and I think, subhanAllah,
Yeah.
it just reminds me that actually, okay. And, I'm down for a few seconds and I'm back up. So focus on your why, and that will always give you the kick up the arse that you need.
That's a really beautiful advice.
Yeah. I hope people can, it worked for me.
Yeah.
Once I knew what my why was, it just helps me. So your why is very important.
So you joined the police to kick off the doors and catch those bad guys.
Yeah.
But it wasn't what you expected.
No.
What did you learn about people and power in that job?
I learned that people can misuse their power. Just because you're given a position of responsibility doesn't mean to say that you always exert your authority. And this is a very important lesson for managers and managing directors and, just bosses in general. That just because you have the power over somebody doesn't always mean that you have to show your power. Sometimes just be on their level.
Yeah.
It's fine. You have the power to arrest somebody, but you also have the power not to arrest them.
That's right.
What decision are you going to make? And I just saw too much of the power being misused. And I was really chilled. I'm still a chilled out guy, you know.
Yeah.
I didn't always, just because I had the power, I wouldn't always use my power, because I believe in there's other ways of dealing with situations, right? So, for example, we go to a domestic, and you know, I remember once we went to it was a Pakistani family, and we got called because the older daughter had she said that her mom and her sister had hit her, so that she'd been assaulted.
Yeah.
So we get called to this house, and we go in, and the woman's there, and she was like, you know, they've hit me. I want you to arrest them. So we were like, okay. So me and my colleague walked in. Now I understand the culture straight away. I know the situation, right? He doesn't, right? He's a white guy. I'm a Pakistani guy.
Yeah.
I understand the culture. He doesn't. So as soon as we walk into the living room, the mum sat down, and I looked at her and I said, she looks like my mum. She was exactly like my mum.
Oh my God.
What? So I said, right, what's happened? So the sister says that, look, my older sister, the one that had called us, she said she was being disrespectful to my mum. So I picked up the slipper and I threw it out. Fine, right? You know, it's a sibling issue now, right?
Yeah.
It's a domestic.
Yeah.
I'd have done the same. I felt like saying good, but I couldn't, right? And then her mum was, you know, said the same thing, that she was being disrespectful. And then obviously then the mum's got involved, you know, and the mum's threw a slipper at her because she's now threw a slipper at her sister, right?
Yeah.
So it's a domestic. It's a domestic.
Yeah.
But my partner wanted to arrest them,
Oh my God.
right? But I could see that would bring no benefit. It would, in fact, it would break up the family.
That's right.
Because if the mother now gets arrested because of the daughter, and the sister gets arrested because of her sister, you think that their relationship's ever going to be the same again? No way.
Never.
So I said to the sister, the one that she was like crying and, you know, very upset. So I said, look, you're very upset. I'm going to give you some time to calm down, but I'm going to explain to you the consequences of the decision that you make today. So if you want me to arrest them, I can arrest them. I said, but let me tell you what's going to happen. So I had my handcuffs, I took them off, and I showed her. I said, I will arrest your mother, and she will get put into a police car, and she will get taken to the police station, and she is not going to get any special treatment because she's your mom. She will be treated like a criminal. And the same thing will happen with your sister. And we will walk them out, and the whole area is going to see that your mom and your sister are getting taken into a police car. And you know from our culture that, you know, it's a no-no, right?
Yeah.
Then I said, but if you're telling me that it's a domestic and you'll sort things out yourself, and then it's fine, we'll go, right? But I'm telling you, if we get called, and I warned them all, the brother had come by then. I said, if we get one more phone call to this house because you've had a domestic, I said, I'm going to bring the van and I'm going to arrest all of you. And you're all going to spend the night in cell, right? So they're like, no, we understand. Thank you so much. And then she said, okay. And then she was calm and she said, no, I understand. I felt that because I was in that area, I could use those skills, but I wasn't always able to do that. So many miscarriages of justice, people were getting arrested that shouldn't have got arrested. Things were being dealt with because it's a statistic, you know? So I decided to kind of walk away.
But I mean, throwing slippers, I think in our South Asian household, it's very normal growing up like that.
Brother, I've had many slippers in the back of my head.
Same.
Not just slippers, hot cups of tea. Like my mum was famous. Like if you gave her any back chat, even now, I'm 42, right? I'm a married man. If I try and be disrespectful to my mum, I'm going to get a slap, right? It's fine. And so are my kids. So our culture, our households, they're very different.
Right.
And I understood that, right? And everybody's had a slipper at the back of the head, right?
Yeah.
And you need to use those skills. You know, that for me, that was real policing.
Right.
You know, although we have the power, it's how we use that power which was really important.
That's right.
And I love that, but not everybody saw it the same way.
I mean, there's always a positive and negative impact of your actions. And if you have a choice, then let's just make this Mother Earth a better place.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think everybody has a responsibility to do that, right?
That's right.
Like, you can't just live your life being content with what you have and not leave an impact on this earth. Like, pay your rent, bro.
Yeah.
Pay your rent being on this earth.
Yeah.
Right?
Don't just take.
Don't just take,
Give back.
but give back, right? Some people choose to, and those that do live very happy, comfortable, content lives, right? You know, we say that there is a Jannah, there is a heaven on earth. And the heaven on earth is found by the man that is content in in what he does in life. He's content whether he is a taxi driver, a cleaner, or a multimillionaire. If he's content with what God's given him and he's content with his surroundings, then that is like a Jannah on earth, a heaven on earth, right?
What do you mean by being content here? Like being grateful?
Being grateful and being happy with what God's given you. If you have 2 meals a day, as long as you are happy with those 2 meals a day, some people will not be happy with 2 meals a day. Some people will be happy with 1 meal a day.
Right.
And what's the secret here? The person that has 2 meals a day should always look at the person that only has 1. And the one that has 1 should always look at the one that has none. If we always look at people beneath us that don't have what we have, our life will be very content.
Right.
But if we're constantly looking at people above us in the ivory towers living a great life, and again, social media plays a big problem here because we think that the grass is always greener on the other side. And I can tell you it's not. Having met many famous people, celebrities and influencers in my life and some very rich people, I can tell you that their lives that they portray online is completely different to their actual lives.
That's true.
You know? So the grass isn't always greener on the other side. Look, rather than focusing on the grass being greener on the other side, start watering your own grass and then see how green it becomes.
I learned this a very hard way because when I was pursuing tennis professionally, I won a few trophies and I was injured sitting home. I'm like, my time is getting over. I need to, do better, all that. I was just feeling bad about myself, my situation. And then I just started looking at my trophies, which I have won so far. And I'm like, dude, you have won plenty. And I mean, there are people who are still trying to make it, but they haven't even won these much trophies.
Yeah.
That was my calling that time. Like, okay.
And then life changed after that.
And then
right?
I started being grateful about everything I had. And I started feeling so happy about it. Like, yeah, life is beautiful.
Yeah. Life is amazing.
Yeah.
And look, that gratefulness and contentness won't always last. There'll come a time when you are a bit ungrateful. We're humans, right? It's natural. The key is picking yourself up and bringing yourself back to reality. You know, you will slip, you will make mistakes. The key really is knowing when you make those mistakes and knowing what to do to get yourself back on track. We lose track, but we come back.
100%. So you started your company with 4,000 pounds. What did those first 12 months look like?
Very hard. Very hard. Gosh. Not just the first 12 months, the first 5 years of the business. It meant that I had to work 2 jobs. It meant that we were in the office in the day and I was doing security at night. So I was working 18 hours a day.
Oh my God. For
many, many years, But there was no plan B, the plan, this was the plan B, right? Yeah. So there was no plan C, right? I had a lot because obviously having left the police and then now everyone's disappointed because I've left this career and, I was going to be like in my head, I was going to become a sergeant and an inspector. I was going to be the big daddy, right? In the police. Yeah. And that didn't work out. So there was no plan B. So this had to work. But, I enjoyed it and I miss it. If you are if anyone's listening to this and they are just starting off their journey, savor those moments because wallahi, you'll miss it. Yeah. The struggles, the difficult times, the sleepless nights. And I still have them, don't get me wrong. Life is not just all fun and games,
Yeah.
But I miss the hustle. I miss the 18 hours a day, It's just, I miss the excitement. Now I find that I'm looking for the next project. So I'm constantly trying to find things that get me really excited. Like that same excitement. And I wish as an entrepreneur, when you're growing, those feelings and emotions that you have when you're just starting off, I wish that somehow you could bottle them up and kind of save them. So every now and then you just open it and you get a bit of taste of what it was like, So it was very tough. It was very difficult. Lots of good times, lots of bad times. But it was worth it.
It was so funny when you said that was the plan B and that was the only plan left, because I had a plan A, I got over that. Plan B, done and dusted. Plan C, I was coaching. Now I'm on my plan D.
Your plan D, yeah? And it's fun. And look, history has told us that if we look at some of the most successful people in the world that have done amazing things, they all started at a very late age. And it wasn't their first business, right? So there was many failures before that final thing dropped. When I was at college and I wanted to go to university, I wanted to study international politics. So the idea is that I wanted to get into politics, right? Because I've always been a talker and a communicator and a debater, right? So my first plan was international politics. No, sorry. My first plan was a doctor.
Okay.
When I was in I think maybe year 8, there was a teacher called Mr. Sanders, I remember. I'd love to see him now. And hopefully he sees my stuff online, right?
Yeah.
Because I got into a fight in school and he got me in the office. I was getting told off. And he said, Sunny, what do you want to be when you're older? I said, I want to be a doctor. And he started laughing. Like, Barakah, yeah. You know. Then what are you laughing at?
Yeah.
He said, you want to be a doctor? He said, do you know what grades you need to be? Like, completely blew me out of the water, bro. Confidence level, like, done, right? Like, I remember walking home thinking, okay, I'm not going to become a doctor. Maybe something else, right? So Mr. Sanders blew it out of the water. But, you know, if he's watching, I'm making a lot more money than a doctor now, Mr. Sanders. Forget the doctor, you know. Even a surgeon's salary, bro, you know. No, but... Look, so that was the first plan, you know, and then it was obviously the politics and then the police.
Yeah.
So like things don't always go to plan. And sometimes it's okay to change direction.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to change direction. It's fine, but like make that decision quick.
Right.
You know, like you need to know, like it's pointless doing something and hating it for 10 years and then changing after, because time is one of the most valuable currencies that we have.
That's right.
You know,
time is money.
Time is money, and it's look, money goes, you can replace it.
Yeah.
Time goes,
You cannot.
it's not coming back.
That's
you know,
right.
and you can see the wrinkles on my face. You know, as you're getting older, you can see it. So sometimes things change, plans change. It's fine.
So there's a research shows that 60% new businesses fail in the first 3 years. What did you do differently?
We kept our costs down. We didn't take any money from the business. We were both working at the same time. And we were very sensible in our approach. So when companies fail, one of the biggest reasons for that is their cash flow, right? So cash is king, and cash flow is very important. But what we find is that when founders start a business and they start making money, they now want to start spending that money. They want the nice car and the nice clothes and the fancy holidays. And we didn't do any of that. So
the first 3 years.
Maybe longer. You know, we just reinvested everything that we had in our business, and we said that there will come a time when we can take a salary. And I remember the time when my business partner came to me and said, "We can now take a salary." I was so relieved, because it meant that I could now stop working so many hours and and spend more time with at the time my son Ibrahim. He was only like 2 years old. So we were very sensible. No flashy spending, no crazy, driving normal cars, and just reinvesting.
You worked every job in your company, even cleaning toilets. Why is that important for a leader?
Because we can never expect anyone to do anything that we would never do ourselves. My belief is that none of my team members can ever say to me that I'm not going to do that, because I have never done it. I've done it all. There's nothing that I will ask someone to do that I haven't done myself. So if I've done all the jobs in my business, my staff can't now, and then I don't feel bad asking them to do something. I can ask anyone in my organizations to do anything because I've done it all myself, and I would do it myself. I will still do it now. I do it now. It's not a problem. We had a cleaner that came to our office, and she cleaned all the windows, all the windows in the office and the glass partitions, but she used a dirty cloth, right?
Okay.
And for the cleaners here will know that if you use a dirty cloth on a window, it leaves smudges everywhere.
That's right.
So I came and I've got like OCD, and my OCD is going like mental. It's in the middle of a busy day in the office. Everybody's doing their own thing. I just get a cloth and just start so as a staff are walking past me, I'm like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm cleaning the windows, man, you know.
Yeah.
But they know that now. They won't,
Yeah.
you know, they just know that, oh, it's just, you know, the boss just doing his thing, you know, it's fine.
So for someone who's starting now or starting with nothing, what's your first thing they should invest in?
Themselves. The best investment you can make is yourself and is on yourself. So, and that doesn't need to be expensive, you know, read books. I mean, look, I don't think there's ever been a better time in history to start a business because look at the resources that you have chat GBT or GP. I always get it wrong, GBT or whatever, with AI and the resource. Look, we didn't have this, right? So when we needed to find a customer, we would open up in the UK, we have like the yellow pages, right? It's like a directory and we would have to find companies to call them. But now you have everything at your fingertips on your phone, right? The power of social media and AI now is unbelievable. So my advice would be that invest in yourself and invest in the machinery or the tools that you need to run your business and make sure that those tools and that machinery is the best. Do not try and save money on that. And I'll give you an example. You're a host of a podcast, right? So if you are recording your podcast, the mics, the cameras, and the audio should be the best.
100%.
If the mics and the cameras and the audio is the best, your quality is going to be amazing, right? Whereas if you now go and get a shitty mic, and I can see you've got these mics, I have the same mics in my office, so I know that they're good mics, right? And hopefully the viewers can see this by the audio. But you must invest, like whatever tools you need. If you're a carpenter, you need to get the best tools, right? The hammer, whatever carpenters use, right? And if you have don't ever skimp on the tools, the fundamental tools that you need to start your business. Everything else you can save money on, right? So, you know, the decor in the office, you can save money on that. The location maybe you can save money on that. But the tools that you need, make sure that you invest wisely.
I can only think about tennis racket right now.
Yeah, so you want the best one, right?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And you understand this.
Yes.
You know? Having the best tennis racket is very important because you understand why that is. There's wants and there's needs, right? So there's going to be a lot of wants and there's going to be a few needs. Focus on the needs, not so much on the wants. Because the wants are the ones that get you in trouble. I want a nice car. I want, a top of the range, whatever, right? That's your want. But I need a car to get me to work. I need a computer so I can send emails.
That's right.
But I want a MacBook. Do you need a MacBook? Because there'll come a time when you can afford a MacBook and that's fine. Go and buy 3 different colors. 1 for each room of the house. No problem. You can afford it, right?
Yeah.
But in the early times, it's a want.
That's right.
Not a need. Know the difference.
Sunny, you have lost 2 children, including your daughter Khadija.
Yes.
You have said once you have lost the most precious thing, nothing else can hurt you. How did you survive that?
My faith got me through it. You know, my God, Allah, got me through it. And knowing that when you lose a loved one, it's not the end of the story. God has promised that you will meet them in heaven. We focus on that meeting with them, that one day we get to hold her, to see her again. And that's what keeps me going every day. I look forward to that meeting when I see my children in heaven, and I get to tell them all the great things that I was trying to do in this world in their memory, and that I miss them, but they're having a great time. You know, they're in heaven and they're having a great time. And so my faith, my family, my friends, my community, but ultimately, you know, my reliance, and we say tawakkul, you know, in Arabic, my reliance in God got me through it, and my faith got me through it. So alhamdulillah. The worst time in anybody's life, I'd never wish it on anyone. Yeah, I used to always think that losing my mum, and you know, alhamdulillah, my mum she's still alive, but I used to always say that, like, the worst day would be when I lose my parents.
Yeah.
Like, how am I going to live? You know, when my mum goes, what am I going to do? But actually, the worst day for me was losing my kids, because your parents have they have a good life. You know, they've lived. It's kind of natural. You know, your parents kind of are supposed to go before you, but your child, you know, you shouldn't be burying your children. You should, you know, so it just feels unnatural. But that was my test from God, and He chose me and my wife to go through that test, and we are grateful for that test.
Thank you so much for sharing this on the mosque. I mean, it takes a lot of courage, Sunny.
Yeah, it's every day is tough. Every day is tough, but you have, and then you look at other people around the world and what they've gone through. We know what's happening in the world everywhere. And then when we think that our problems are bad, God reminds us that your problems aren't that bad. There is others that have way more issues and problems, and it brings us back down to reality.
So, Sunny, you prayed for patience, not for answers. How did your faith change your approach for business and life?
Like, it doesn't really mean anything to me anymore. When you've had the most precious thing taken from you, what else can anyone do to you? It gives you this resilience and this belief that everything will be okay. I could lose millions now. I could lose my car, my house, my kids. I've been through that. My wife, my parents, like my health, whatever happens is from God. So I know that now. So, and then I stopped taking things so seriously because life's too short. So I just became focused on the things that really matter: family, time with them, creating memories, and not chasing the dunya or the world. Don't chase the world.
The deen and the dunya.
The deen and the dunya. You're having a balance. Yeah, the deen and dunya. So keeping a balance, and not going extreme in any one. Not going too much into the religion, but not also going too much into the deen. Just having a balance.
So I'll be honest, most people would have fallen apart. What did grief teach you about leadership?
It taught me that being a leader is a huge responsibility, and we have to lead by example.
Embodying it.
But also not being afraid to show a weakness, and being open to that. We'd have board meetings, maybe 6 months after Khadija passed away, and I'd walk in, we'd start the meeting, somebody would say something, it would trigger something inside me, and I'd just burst out crying. My team would see, I'd just pause, and then and they would all be, they'd all be quiet, and they would just sit there and wait for me to kind of have my moment, compose myself, and then I'd be like, okay, I'm ready. And then we'd carry on. It taught me that don't be afraid to show weakness and be empathetic towards people. So now if someone comes to me with a problem, kind of understand, what that is and how to kind of deal with it. So I'm probably more of a calmer, chilled kind of guy, as opposed to a very aggressive, power hungry kind of dude.
For the first time when I looked at you, you seemed like someone who's like very serious.
Yeah.
But you greeted me with a smile, I remember.
Everybody says that.
Yeah.
When they speak to me. I don't know why. I don't give like serious vibes. I don't even see myself as being serious. But a lot of people do say that. When we first met you, we were really like scared, because there's like I think also social media and maybe online, there's a persona, right? That people, like an expectation that people have of you. And maybe at somewhere I gave you like serious vibes, but I'm like,
No, you didn't give me the serious. I mean, the way you look.
Okay,
It gave me a very serious vibe, like a alpha man.
Yeah.
But then you were like, hey guys, like you greeted us with a smile. I was like, yeah.
It's great. And like I said to you on the day, that these meetings are meant to happen, and, I don't believe in chance.
Yeah.
I believe that everything that happens is from God, and that we meet people in life and that it's for a reason. So we were meant to meet, we were meant to be sat here today, and I almost never made it, so, and you waited, so which is great. So yeah, it's all good.
You became a counselor for others. You started the ISA Foundation. Why is giving back so central to your story?
Because in giving back is healing. So for me, my healing is in my charitable endeavors. every day, going out to different countries and doing the projects that we do, it's healing. So it's almost like a selfish thing for me, you know. It's like therapy.
Yeah.
Of course, like I said earlier on, the religion teaches us to do that, and that's very important. But also it's a bit of healing, you know. Sharing your pain with others helps you heal, and sharing people's problems and pain, and helping them out of their problems and pain, kind of helps you with your problem, if that makes sense, you know. So it's my healing.
So you have turned down lucrative deals that didn't align with your values. What's the hardest decision you have made for your faith?
I don't think there is a hardest decision, because if it doesn't align, then the decision's already made. So it's not really a hard decision for me. If it doesn't align with my faith and my values, then it's a no. Because we don't then focus on the monetary value of it. We just say it's a no. So it's pointless sitting there and trying to do the calculations and the numbers to say, oh, we could have made X amount of millions, because even if we did take that contract on, we know that there's no blessings in it. There's no barakah in it, right? So like we just leave it. Khalas, it's gone. So it's not really a hard decision for me when it comes to faith. It's a very simple, easy. The decision's already made.
Yeah.
You know. So so it's not hard when it comes to faith, but others may perceive it as being difficult, but not for me.
Yeah. So you mentioned Barakah, the blessing. That's the secret to success.
Yeah.
So what does that look like in business?
Working honestly, ethically, treating people fairly, the blessings will come. Doing it the halal way, the pure way, as we say. And what does that mean? You know, just simply being honest. To be a good person, you know, you don't have to be a Muslim, you know. There's many good people out there that don't follow our religion, you know, that live their life honestly and ethically. And yes, the Quran teaches us these principles and rules. So we have the rules. But the barakah really comes in when you do things according to the scriptures, right? To the book, but also just being a decent person. So not robbing people, paying your suppliers on time, paying your staff on time, you know. And we don't always get it right. You know, there's probably going to be one of my staff members that comments on my TikTok video saying they never paid us, you know, from like when they used to work for us, and maybe it was you know, when you employ hundreds and thousands of people, sometimes mistakes get made, you know.
That's right.
But we try our best, and when somebody highlights a problem to us, we fix it. You know, I had somebody call me a few weeks back. She was one of my new franchisees that I've opened. She was a member of staff, and she only did like 4 hours. So she came for training. We paid her for the we're supposed to pay them for the training, and she didn't meet she didn't cut the mark, so she wasn't invited back. But she was missed off the payroll, right? So she called me. She got my number from somewhere, and she said, you know, I remember when you came and did a speech to us. You said that, you know, you treat everybody fairly and whatever. And I haven't been paid. And I said, well, look, I'm really sorry that you haven't been paid, but I didn't know. And I don't think anybody in my team knew. Like, maybe you've been missed off. It's just it's an honest mistake. Send me your account details. You have the money within an hour, you know? And she did. And I just straight away got her paid, and it's done.
Wow.
So you don't always get it right, but you try and do the best.
That's right. So studies show companies with strong values outperform their peers long term. Why do you think most entrepreneurs ignore this?
Maybe they haven't been taught that. Maybe their upbringing was completely different, or maybe they're just too selfish to want to know it. People know how to be a good person. We know what we have to do, right? It's not rocket science.
Right.
But being a good person is not always the easy way. You know, it's a lot easier it's like, you know, dirty money is very easy to make, you
That's
know.
right.
Robbing somebody, not paying a member of staff and thinking, I'll keep the money and I'll make it, or not paying a contractor. Many people do it. It's always easier for them. So people know, you know, you can't blame the parents really. It's just, you either have it or you don't. It can't really be taught. Values, I mean, they can be taught, I suppose. But yeah, as an entrepreneur, if you're big, bad and ugly, then you should know what the right thing is to do. Look, if it doesn't feel right, when you do something wrong, if you can't say God's name before it, you know it's wrong. If you can't say, you know, Bismillah before something, that you're about to do something, then know that it's not the right thing to do, right? So you know when you're doing something wrong, because you'll have that feeling. This doesn't feel right. What I'm about to do doesn't feel right. And if it doesn't feel right, don't do it. look, there's times when we have to do things that are uncomfortable.
Right.
I'm not saying I did it, like I said to you earlier on, I did a podcast today in Urdu. I was very uncomfortable, right?
Yeah.
So that was being uncomfortable, but I can't say that it didn't feel right. Do you see what I mean? So there's a difference. You know within yourself that your Zamir or your soul is telling you that, dude, what you're about to do is wrong. Like, don't do it, right? So just listen to that. Listen to that voice inside.
So you talk about legacy, as you mentioned earlier, not just profit. What do you want your children to say about you?
Wow, that's deep. I want them to say that their dad was a good man and that he taught them some very valuable lessons, you know, and that every opportunity with dad was a learning opportunity, and that he treated their mother well, and that I was there for them, you know. That's it. I can't really expect much more from my kids, but I just want them to think, when they think of me, that they have good memories, you know, and they share those memories with their children. So that was all right, you know. If I can get that, then I've
That's more than enough.
yeah, that's enough. Yeah, just those words. That was all right, you know.
But I think you're doing amazing, man, as a father. Like, if you believe in giving back, you're giving back to the world. And I'm 100% sure that you're doing amazing as a father.
I mean, I hope so. You know, my kids seem to think so. It was a very proud moment for me when they're talking and they say they want to be like Papa. And I say, you don't want to be like me. You want to be better than me. Because remember, the only man in this world that will ever want you to be better than him is your father.
110%. I mean, oh my God.
You know?
Just gave me the chills.
Yeah. No one else. No one else. So we need to remember that.
That reminds me of the first time when I got my job at the age of 18. I got recruited by Indian Navy, and my father was with me at the trial.
Okay, yeah.
I was a sports quota recruit.
Okay.
So he was there, and he knew that for the past 3 months I was injured. And then I got selected, and he was like calling everybody, you know, Money got selected in the Navy. And I was like, dude, I've never seen him this happy.
Yeah, amazing. You know, that's a lesson for our parents to, you know, for us to say, like, when we are proud of our children, we should tell them. We sometimes don't.
Yeah.
You know, maybe the older generation.
Yeah.
You know, there's sometimes that gap between like communication, you know, and whatever. I think if you're proud of your children, tell them, because you never know when will be the last time that you spend with them.
That's right.
So tell them you love them, tell them that you're proud of them, and tell them that, you know, they make you happy and that you're happy to be their dad, that God chose you to be their father.
Yeah.
It's a very proud type, you know. Tell them constantly, remind them. We don't say I love you enough.
I mean, when I say it, it just feels so awkward and weird. When
I can't remember the last time I told my dad that I loved him. I say it now, but even like hugging my dad feels really weird, you know, because we didn't have that bond. I mean, with my kids, it's different. We you know, we play. I tell them I love them. I hug them. Even like, you know, Ibrahim is 15 years old. He's like, oh, Papa, you know, I hug them. I kiss them. I have no problems with hugging my kids, with showing affection. But it feels a bit different with my dad because, again, it was different, right?
Yeah.
So you must, if you're listening, the challenge for the listeners, phone someone today and tell them that you love them. Whether it's your mum and dad, someone that you haven't told, do it.
Guys, do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's going to change everything. You mentor young entrepreneurs. What's the biggest mistake you see them making?
I think having really high expectations of what they can achieve and not being realistic, you know. Dreaming big is fantastic, but like we need to be realistic in our approach. And I think I have this ability to bring people back down to earth. They're in the stars, you know, and just like, look, let's just break it down, you know. So just being unrealistic and over-promising and under-delivering, you know. So yeah.
How can they be more realistic? Like, is there a framework which you use?
I mean, look, I just think that we need to, like, just using common sense. You know, if you're taking an order and you don't have the raw materials to make that order, and they're going to come from China and it's going to take 3 months, and you promise the customer 2 weeks, if you know you can't deliver, be be honest. People prefer honesty.
That's right.
You know, people will respect you so much more if you're honest, as opposed to trying to lie. And then, you know, so yeah, just being honest.
So, Sunny, what strikes me is that your story isn't about money, it's about meaning. If you could change one thing about how we define success, what would it be?
Focusing on the smaller things, you know, and not having success attached to materialistic objects and things, and people focusing on the small things, the things that money can't buy. And I'd also want people to stop associating success with money, because it's not always about the money. I want people to start associating success with freedom. There's a difference. The freedom, yes, you need the money for the freedom, but the freedom is measurable. The money is not. And what I mean by that is that if you set yourself tangible goals in terms of money, I want £1 million or two. Well, I can tell you, when you get £1 million, you're gonna want 2.
Yeah,
And then when you get 2, you're gonna want 3.
100%.
And it will never be enough. But now you focus on the freedom. So what do I mean by that? You want to be able to get up at whatever time you want. You want to be in the gym at 12 o'clock in the afternoon and not have to worry about reporting into a boss. You want to pick your kids up from school. You want to go on 3 holidays a year. This is all measurable, because you can now measure your life.
That's right.
You know, have you attained the freedom that you wanted? Yes, you can. Do you need money for that? Absolutely. But it's measurable. So chase the freedom and not the money, and things will become a lot more clearer.
You know, 3 years ago, when the Instagram thread started,
Yeah.
my first thread was chasing freedom.
Love that. Yeah.
And I knew it. I mean, this is something I want to create for myself.
Yeah.
I don't want to be answerable to anybody. I want to be my own boss.
Yeah.
I want to be wherever I want to be at any time of the day.
And you can do it.
Yeah.
And I look forward to following your journey and seeing it.
Thank you so
And
much.
maybe one day I'll interview you on my podcast.
For sure.
Absolutely.
I'm manifesting it now. Let's go.
Good. Let's do it. Yeah, absolutely.
So where people can find you and how can they support your mission?
So in terms of finding me, Instagram, Sunny Araf 1 is my Instagram handle. That's the I'm more active on. And hopefully by the time this gets produced, I'll have the YouTube channel up. Again, Sunny Araf 1. Just Google me, Sunny Araf, SUNNYARAF. And in terms of supporting the mission, just again, the only support that I really need is online, is by engaging with my content, because we have a positive message that we want to put out. We don't ask anybody for money. We fund all our projects ourselves. So we're not after money. We don't fundraise. We do that ourselves as a family. But really just the support and encouragement, because you know what? Even executive coaches or entrepreneurs sometimes need some encouragement,
That's right.
And it comes in the craziest form. So even we need that. So
That's right.
Just by supporting the mission, yeah.
So thank you so much, Sunny, for sharing your journey, where you started to building an empire. Thank you so much for being on The Musk.
Thank you for having me, and I wish you the best with your podcast.